father died recently. His diary is extremely strange. First off, let me start off by saying my dad was never a supernatural, spiritual, or religious person. He always found the idea of ghosts and paranormal creatures like that extremely silly. Whenever I was a kid and would come asking him to check for the monster under the bed, he simply told me there was no such thing as monsters and that the whole concept was goofy. He would reluctantly check under the bed or in the closet and then go back to bed. With that being said, he recently died in what the officers said was a bear attack. He was 56 years old. Since I was his only child and my mom died in childbirth and he never remarried, I was the only person who got any of his stuff, such as his house, the ranch he had before he died, his money, and possessions. There was a lot of strange things in his diary, and now I'm afraid they're happening to me. This is what was in his diary. May 31st, 2022. The main reason I got this diary is to log what's happening on the ranch. A lot of strange things have been happening recently. One of my cows' newborn calves went missing last week. I just figured a wolf had broken in, since the enclosed fence was short enough for a wolf to jump over with ease. But when I found the calf, there wasn't a single bite taken out of it. It looked like it had just died a few minutes ago. It had no signs of decay. But when I touched it, the body just folded in on itself. It was just the skin, somehow perfectly preserved in position. Somehow perfectly preserved and positioned, as if it was still on the body, despite being in the woods for at least a week. Who would, or even could do this? I'll try and keep the diary updated. June 5th, 2022. I just found some chickens, about 8 of them. They were completely skinless. Their bodies were arranged in a circle that was around a carving in the dirt. It looked like stick totems from the movie Blair Witch, but it had antlers on its head. It had a stone in the middle of it with a strange rune carved into it. Who the fuck is doing this? Is this an elaborate prank for some bored high schoolers? I'll have to get some cameras and set them up around the property. I'll see who's doing this. June 6th, 2022. I got the camera set up last night. It was mostly normal, for the most part. The cows eating, drinking, my nightly duties, and the occasional bug landing on the lens. But at 1:30 a.m. I saw a silhouette. It was someone, but they appeared to be wearing a black cloak. It was impossibly tall, at least 8 feet. I watched them walk into the cattle enclosure. The person then raised one of their hands in the air and started swaying. One of the cows started walking over to the person, its head thrashing as if something was upsetting it. The figure placed her hand on the cow's head. The cow started violently shaking as it started foaming from the mouth. A dark liquid would come out, which I'm guessing is blood, since I found a pool of it in the enclosure once the sun came up. In my camera's tape, I watched the mysterious liquid start pouring from the cow's ears, eyes, mouth, and nose. And then it dropped dead, as the woods seemed to let out a loud, shrill scream. It sounded like a wolf's howl, and a man screaming in pain. The person walked back into the woods. What's even stranger is how the cow's body was gone in the morning. How did they even lift a cow? How did that not wake me up? Is it even safe for me to stay here? June 22nd, 2022. I was looking at the cameras this morning. Everything has been very normal through the past few weeks, ever since the cloaked person. And I've been looking into it for the past few days. Asked people online, and they all said that maybe it's some sort of cold, whatever the hell a skinwalker is, or a Wendigo. It's hard to believe, but after what I've seen, it definitely seems plausible. But that's not the point of this entity. This morning, after checking last night's camera feed, I saw something on the cameras. It was some sort of creature. It was on all fours, completely skinless, with large eyes that glowed in the dark. Its front paws looked like a clawed skeletal chimp hand, and its back legs looked halfway between a human's and a dog's. It had a cow's head without skin. It had antlers sticking up from its head as it wandered around the ranch, stood up on its back legs as it reached the cattle pen. It reached its hand out towards one of the calves as it attempted to grab the calf and run off with it, but it was scared by the motion sensor lights and ran, leaving long claw marks across the calf's back. I checked on the calf this morning after watching the camera feed, and the moment I stepped outside, I was hit with an extreme stench of rotting meat. It was so bad I almost threw up when I first stepped outside. I walked to the cattle pen, and the calf was dead, and it looked like it had been for weeks. It was dry and skeletal. Its eyes looked like they had been pecked out by birds, and the claw marks on its back looked like deep, infected cuts that were crusted with dry blood. I'm gonna try and stay up tonight to watch the cameras and run out there with my shotgun to shoot whatever that thing was if it shows up again. July 1st, 2022. Last night I saw that thing on the cameras. It was trying to take another calf, so I ran out there with my shotgun. As I ran out, I was immediately hit with a mix of the smell of a rotting body and a sickeningly sweet scent like walking into a candy store. Now that I was up close, it looked like it had the head of a cow, but without skin, and it looked like its body was made mostly of skinless, stitched together chickens, and its legs looked like skinless cow legs, and its front legs had what looked like nubs forming in the shoulders. All of its body looked like it was stitched together from various body parts. The thing growled and snarled at me as I aimed at it, as I took a shot at its face, hitting it directly between the eyes. Its head was replaced with a gory, mangled stump as it flopped down beside the fence. As I slumped down at the front door, sighing with relief, thinking it was all over, before the blood started to float back over to where its head was, slowly reforming back into the shape of its head as the flesh slowly formed back around it. I watched in horror before running back inside, shutting and locking the door as soon as I heard it banging on the door and screaming. I tried to run for the phone, but before I could even reach it, its hand shattered through the window and grabbed the phone, breaking it, as if knowing that was the only way I could call for help. As I then heard my wife's voice calling for me. There was a slight animalistic growl in her voice, and I knew it was that thing. I ran into the bathroom, shutting and locking the door behind me. I heard it crash through the living room window, running around as its claws clicked on the floor, looking for me as it called for me in my wife's voice. I eventually fell asleep on the bathroom floor. I can't run. I need to find a way to kill this thing, if there even is a way to. I haven't seen the creature my dad described yet, and I'm glad I haven't. I think I'll end this part here. I'm copying this all down from my father's diary in the middle of the night. I just saw the motion lights turn on outside, and the dog just started barking at something out there. I'm praying it's not whatever that thing was my dad described. I'm gonna try and get some sleep in the bathroom tonight, with the shotgun and my dog. Good evening, my disciples. I'd like to thank RKG 540321 for sharing his tale with us. There's more to this story, and if you're interested in hearing the rest, make sure you like and subscribe. Until then, sleep well, my disciples, and know that while you dream of darkness,